It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you last week? Oh, last week was crazy over here on this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. As we started off shaking the Monday morning blues with the Dew Time crew. And we talked about, let's see, the things that older people said that they didn't like about being in their long-term relationship. Yeah, it was just like this awareness thing with the people who understood that just because they had been in this relationship for so long that they had not realized it was going to end up like that. And we talked about the lady who had been in this relationship for all those years, and you know, she said, I had kids when I was young, I was married when I was young, I ain't got no friends, without no play dates. Yeah, she was over it. She was straight over it. And we talked about, you know, how it's just, we got to do things a little differently. You know, when, as they say, when you know better, then you do better, right? Right. So what's going on with us making those decisions so early in life? Well, listen, when you don't know, you don't know. But here's the best part about this. We've talked about this thing. Yes, we've talked about this thing amongst ourselves. And now we've heard from other people's experiences. And now we ain't got no reason making the same mistakes, right? Right. Okay. So listen, learn. Well, we had our switch tip. Check your personality. And man, did I know that for the rest of the week, that's what we would be talking about? All week long, we talked about this personality thing, one way or the other. And the one thing I do really, you know, well, let me say this a little different. I knew it, but when I compared it to our, our switch tip, because I don't know what the switch tip is going to be. And Shontyce does not know what we're going to talk about for the rest of the week, and neither do I. But we realized that, hey, if we don't get this thing right with the Lord, we're going to be in trouble. Because I do want to remind you that there is a hell that exists that's going to, that the Bible talks about, that if we don't get this thing right, we're going to end up there. So you can make the decision to go into the kingdom eternally, or you go to hell. Now, God is going to be the righteous judge, and he's going to be the one that says yay or nay. And because I can't put you there, I can't keep out of there. The only thing I could do is help to guide you and steer you along the way. And I'm going to tell you something, that check your personality rang out the entire week. It really did. All the way up until last night's prayer. But we're not going to get to that yet, okay? So check your personality. Make sure it's what God wants it to be. See, this ain't got nothing to do with what your desire is. We already been told we come into this world shaped in sin and iniquity. What we can't get this right on our own, y'all. So come on, get it together. All right. We talked to our girl Vivian on Wednesday. What did Vivian talk about? Well, Vivian gave us those crazy, wow stories. And one of them was about the 52-year-old man who got tired of, which was probably a Karen. I don't know. I'm just saying, because of the topic. He got tired of trying to convince her of what it is to be like and go through this thing here. Yeah. To be on the other side of the fence, and we have our struggles and so forth and so on. And she wasn't getting it. So he kidnaps her and he makes her watch Roots. Now, come on, y'all. We can't try to tell them about our plight and be guilty of the plight. Yo, hello. It just don't work like that. So, very poor job. Very poor job he did. But now you're going to have to deal with some kidnapping charges and all that other kind of stuff. So that was just big dumb. So Vivian had some weird stories last week. So you want to check out Wednesday? Well, I'm going all the way to Friday. Man, these men were in rare form on Friday. It was Freestyle Friday, Men's Day, and Men's Day is nothing like Women's Day ever here on It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. They were cutting up. We talked about Tamara and, Tamara Mowry, T and Tamara, her husband, who got to talking, and they weren't trying to hear what he had to say about the food stamps plight. And it just doesn't seem good for the other side of the fence to be talking about people who use food stamps, because it always seems like there's an inference of people on our side of the fence. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't take too kindly to that when he was talking. So the men weighed in and they said, yeah, it just don't seem right. And they got to talking about how, we don't want people talking about how we use food stamps, but we do it and we put it out there. So come on. Friday was crazy. Friday sent us into a real thought-provoking weekend. Goodness gracious. It was crazy. All I could tell you is go back and listen. Go back and watch. Please. You will not. If you are bored, you will just pick any day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Pick any day and you will not be bored any longer. Trust me when I tell you, they had it lit up here on Friday. So that's how we spent last week here on It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Well, last night, Sunday night at 9 p.m., we had the Word Prayer Project in effect, and we talked about accountability. Taking accountability for our thoughts, our actions, our words, the whole 9 yards. And the prayer request, as always, was powerful. Now, did you miss prayer time? Yo, you cannot miss prayer time with Pastor Steph. Now, that's not the name of it, but that's what it is. It's the Word Prayer Project. And we have a theme. 99% of the time, we have a theme. And it's not an open prayer like most prayers are. And there's nothing wrong with the open prayers. But you know how God do, Pastor Steph. We always got to focus on something. And we always end up walking right into whatever God wants us to pray about. And it was the prayer request, as always, on point. And if you didn't think about them things, they helped you think about them things, and you had to pray about. So let's get it going. Let's get going on the prayer time, okay? So this is why I tell you to press that subscribe button, because if you did, when you hit the notification bell, then anytime we load up here on YouTube, you get the notification. Yeah, it flashes up on your screen. So you don't want to miss prayer time. We always need to be before the Lord. All right. Well, Today is Shaking the Monday Morning Blues. It's already Shaking the Monday Morning Blues, and it is the 24th of February. Yo, we have flown through this week, and we are flying through this weekend. So we're about to get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, that it's due time with Pastor Steph. It's on, and whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Nutritional deficiencies. Number one is tetany, which is like this little twitch on your skin. That's a magnesium deficiency. Leafy greens are loaded with magnesium. Low back pain that spreads into your hips and upper thighs is a classic vitamin D deficiency. You can get vitamin D from the sun. High pulse rate is a potassium deficiency. Eat more avocados. Feeling exhausted when you're climbing up a hill is a vitamin E deficiency. Raw sunflower seeds will give you a lot of vitamin E. Muscle weakness is a sodium deficiency. Consume more sea salt. And problem seeing in the dark is a vitamin A deficiency. Egg yolks for vitamin A.
Hey there. Oh, good morning, and welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and we are shaking the Monday Morning Blues. I don't know. Now that I'm on the camera, I want to shake. I don't know. But listen, if you are in the room, I need you to say it with me. Check in. I don't know you're in the room unless you knock on the door. So let's see who has said good morning. Come on in the room and let Pastor know you're in the room. All right. We got to check in from our girl Ketty. Again, she has broken the world's record for being the first in the room. And Serge, don't do it no more, brother. Don't do it no more. We know. You cannot get up the night before, log in, say good morning, and think you are really beating somebody, okay? Okay. But I love your energy. Oh, we got a check-in from our boy Terrence. Good morning, Terrence. And Serge. Hey, Serge. How you doing? Thank you for not trying to beat Miss Ketty, because it is disrespectful. Let the women in the room first. Open the door for your elders, boy. Come on. Check it out. Good morning, Cherry. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we done shifted gears here. A Christian wife's stories is our girl Viv. Hey, Viv. You know Vivian, yeah, Wednesday morning Vivian. That's her. And we got a check-in from our girl Teresa. Good morning, Teresa. Now, we can't go any further unless we say good morning to the ladies who hold it down for us on StreamYard and get us through to our YouTube Live and our Facebook Live. Let's say good morning to Shontyce. Hey, girl. Shontyce, she's coming later with her switch tip. So we look forward to hearing that. And we definitely could not do it without our girl Anika hanging out in the wings. Hey, Anika, good morning. And thank you so much for joining us. Now, you know how we do. First thing Monday morning, we got to get our health tips or our tips this morning. It's going to be for our health. It may not be what we put in our mouth, but it is for our safety. So we're talking about the things that you done thrown in the trash and that you really should not have. Okay? What we talking about? Lighters. Oh, woo. They said if you got a drawer full of lighters, make sure you empty them not in the garbage can. Yeah. They say you can't empty them in the garbage can because if they've got a little juice left, the fuel can be dumped out. by mistake and cause a fire. And we surely don't want that, right? So they said, make sure you have like a household hazardous waste bag or something. And then you have to take it to your household hazardous waste site. Now, this is the first time I've heard of this thing, the household hazardous waste site. So I guess you can Google that. So you're going to Google household hazardous waste site near me. Okay? Come on, don't be throwing them lighters in the garbage. Okay, we're talking about the things that you done thrown in the garbage that you shouldn't have. Okay, needles and syringes. Well, if you don't know this by now, shame on you, because where you been? Where have you been that you don't know you don't need to throw needles and syringes inside of your garbage can? Why? Because somebody else can get poked with them. Hello. Well, ooh. Is that sarcasm? No, that ain't sarcasm. That's realism. You can't throw needles and syringes in your garbage can. For real. They've told us that from years ago. You know, when you go to the hospital, they always throw it in that plastic thing, right? Well, they say if you are using needles and syringes on the regular, now that's for like diabetics and people, you know, like how do you take Ozempic and Wegovy? Don't they come in like the pins and stuff like that? Yeah, like insulin. Yeah. Well, you're supposed to take it and put it in a heavy duty plastic container. Yeah, you're supposed to get one of those. Yes, you're supposed to have one of those. And you're supposed to take them to waste management sites. Yeah, boy, it's a lot of responsibility for your garbage these days, right? Yeah, well, that's so that everybody is safe. All right, what should you not throw in your garbage? Motor oil and transmission fluid. Why? Because they say that it gets into the landfill and now it becomes a mess. Okay, they say swing by your local auto shop and your household hazardous waste site and give it to them. Okay, no more motor oil and transmission fluid in your garbage can. Non-empty aerosol cans. Okay, you're not supposed to throw those in your garbage can. Okay, they say instead use up that last spritz and do the same thing. Label it for disposal and take it to your local recycling center. Okay. Yo, they got a whole lot of centers out here that I didn't even know nothing about. Yeah. Well, but make sure you finish spraying. Whatever you're using your spray for, make sure you finish using that spray out and then put it in like a container or a garbage bag or something and take it to your local site, your recycling site. Okay. Lawn and garden chemicals. Yeah. You know the stuff that you use out there on that grass, those weeds. Yep. They say, wow. They say, see if your neighbors could use it. If you are ready to throw it out and give them the responsibility of discarding it properly. Yo, that is crazy. I'm saying that. That's not what they said. That's what Pastor Steph is saying. But they say sharing it can extend the use and prevent harmful environmental impacts. Okay, so try it. You'll be a good neighbor. Pharmaceuticals. Now, this is one of the things I never really understood. They have gone through several cycles of like, what do you do with your pharmaceuticals? Because at one point there was like throw it in the garbage. Then at one point there was like throw it in the toilet. Then another thing there was like pour water over it. I have heard a million things when it comes to, doing our pharmaceuticals when they're done. So let's see what they're telling us to do. They said that we should have a safe disposal method, ensuring that those old pills are not doing any harm. Go to your local pharmacy, your police station, and even community centers. Wow. Yo, this garbage thing is really like a job. You have to quit your job just to handle the garbage. Paint. Don't throw paint in the garbage. Okay. They say bring it to a scrap metal or a household hazardous waste facility so that they can handle it. Wow. Listen, I say you ain't got no business with no extra paint. If they talk about give it to your neighbors, you got to know somebody who can use your old paint. Yeah, because Shontyce is the only person I know, she care about what color the steps are. Who cares? It's going into the basement. Can't nobody see that. Just paint the wall. Listen, not only that, you know what we did? We just mixed up all colors and painted the wall, the basement walls with it. Who cares? At least it's neat and clean, right? Yo, so that's what I say. Find somebody to give your paint to. Because whenever we paint, we got tons of paint left because you always got to buy like a can and a half or something like that. So you always got extra paint. So give it away. Maybe somebody could use it. Yeah. And listen, oh wait, I got to tell you this. Another way you don't waste paint and you ain't got to worry about where you got to throw it. There are some things that you can paint that you may be worried about. Oh, well, if the paint gets chipped, don't worry about that. Just use some polyurethane. Yes, honey. Use some polyurethane. Over that, we've painted floors, furniture, and all you got to do is take that polyurethane. And there's many different kinds of polyurethane as well. So just go to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever and check out what you're using it for. And regular paint. Yes. Regular paint is no longer regular paint when you put polyurethane on it, and it ain't going to chip. Yes. Check it out. Okay. Don't say Pastor Steph didn't tell you. Light bulbs are on this list of things that you should not put in your garbage can. Okay. They say especially your fluorescent lights, they contain a tiny bit of mercury. So you definitely don't want to throw them in the garbage can. Guess where you take them? To your household. What do they call that thing? The household. Come on, wait. I gotta find it. Household hazardous waste facility. Okay? So make sure you take your light bulbs to the household hazardous waste facility. Televisions. Now, I don't know about where you may live, but here in New York City, for a few years now, they do not want us putting our TVs outside. Yeah, pain in the necks. All right, listen. They say that what they used to tell us, that you could take it to like anywhere that sold TVs. So I don't know if that's going to be on this list. So yes, your Best Buy, your Walmart, your whatever. Yeah, drop off your garbage at Walmart if you're not shopping there, but you could take it there. They say pass it on to a neighbor or take it to a retirement home. Wow. Okay. But they reminded you, make sure you log out of all of your streaming accounts. So, and make sure it's one of those kind of TVs, because if it's one of those TVs with the big backs, nobody wants those things. But they're not really telling us. Oh yeah, they did say take it to Best Buy or Walmart. Yeah, they're still talking about that one. Okay. Car batteries. Well, needless to say, take them to the auto shop. Yes, we already know. Take it to AutoZone, Pep Boy, something like that. Yes. Household batteries. Now, where were you when we went through this household battery thing? Remember when the young man had put I think he had put them in a drawer and it caught fire. Yeah. really bad results when you throw out batteries incorrectly. Now you definitely want to take that to your household hazardous waste facility, and you won't have any problems with that. They will take them. Okay. Smartphones and your tablets. Okay. They say wipe them clean before you do anything. Get rid of all that data. And if you want to pass it on to a friend, then do so. They say many places, including well-known electronic stores, they offer recycling programs for your old phones and your old tablets. All right. But I can tell you, give it to like one of the kids. Yeah. Those are the things that you're not supposed to throw away. So let me go over this list really quickly, just in case you're joining us. We're talking about the things that you should not throw in your garbage can. Your lighters, your needles and syringes, your motor oil or your transmission fluid, your non-empty aerosol cans, okay? Well, I don't know if that's an inference that if it's empty, you could throw it in the garbage, but I don't think so, because I remember before they telling us, be careful. So make sure it's empty. All right. Lawn and garden chemicals. Remember they said, pass it on to a neighbor. Maybe your neighbors can use it. And pharmaceuticals, take them back to the pharmacy. All right. Paint. Give them to your friend. Give them to a neighbor. Somebody can use paint. Listen, why can't you take that to like an old, like retirement homes and things like that? They might be able to use some paint. Okay. Light bulbs. Okay. Don't put your light bulbs in the garbage. Televisions, take them back to Best Buy, Walmart, any place where they sell TVs. They're supposed to take those things back. Car batteries. All right. AutoZone, Pep Boys. Make sure you get it there. Household batteries. Remember they said put them in a plastic bag and collect them so you could take them to your household hazardous waste facility. We're talking about smartphones and tablets. Clean them out. Make sure there's no data on them. Give one of them things to the kids. Or either they said you can take it back to the electronic stores because they do have a recycling program. All right. So there's always a place to take your garbage, as my mother would say. All righty. All right. What are we talking about? Wait. Listen, we are closing down on our Black History Month, and we have a Black History moment for you. Check it out.
The 1800s relied on burning coal or wood to heat their homes. This method of heating sucked because the heat usually was hottest right in front of the fireplace, which left the rest of the room cold. On December 23, 1919, Alice H. Parker patented the first furnace powered by natural gas that was for homes and offices. Her invention would suck in the cold air and exchange it with hot air. It would then distribute that hot air to the different parts of the home. Her invention was the first to have individually controlled air ducts that would distribute heat throughout the home. Parker played an important role in the development of the central heating systems that keep us warm today.
Who would have ever known that a woman invented the heating system? Yo, and y'all want to get rid of us, talking about we can't be up in the pulpit, we can't run the country. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be warm. You'd be sitting in front of a bunch of coal and some wood, rubbing your hands together. Yo, check that out. I was like, that was a proud moment for Pastor Steph. I was like, hey, girl, do your thing. There's a lot of things that we have contributed, and I'm not just talking about people on the other side of the fence. I am talking about women as well. Yeah, we got to check it out. Check out your Black history. And you know what? I think I'm going to run this throughout the year. I don't think I'm going to close this down. You know, we were at some show, some fashion with the public library last week, Queens Public Library, and they had an African American fashion display and salute. And, you know, our girl, Athena, who's going to be on with us on Thursday, who gives us our fantastic health tips. She kept saying Black History Year. And I was like, yo, I could get with that. I can get with that. So when I came across that little tidbit last night, I was like, Shontyce, we're going to play that tomorrow morning. I don't know when, but we're going to play it. But I think I'm going to keep that going. I think we got enough African American inventors that we can run that for the whole year. Yeah. So, all right. Well, what are we talking about today before we bring our little due time crew on with us to talk about our main topic today? Well, guess what, y'all? We got an update on those New York correction officers who beat poor Robert Brooks to death. Yes, I'm saying poor Robert Brooks because I don't care why he was arrested. I don't care why he was in jail. That video was disgusting. Well, 10 of those New York State correction officers, they are in trouble. They are being charged because their cameras caught it all. The only thing we don't know is what he did. And they off the hook. They're talking about, well, we know he did something. Really? Well, listen, if your cameras were running the way they were supposed to be running, then nobody would have to guess as to what he was doing because your cameras showed what you did. Now, what you gonna do? Yeah, they say 6 of the officers have been charged with second-degree murder and 3 others face manslaughter charges. And they say that a couple of the, the correction officers, or a couple of the staff members, they told. Yes, they told. Listen, everybody's not going down the same way. Somebody gonna wake up and decide to talk. There's always one that talks. I don't care what happens. Somebody is talking. Even if they don't talk but a little bit, somebody is talking. And they say that they have really considered shutting down quite a few of these facilities. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if y'all heard about it. I'm sure if you look at the news, you've heard over the last couple of weeks, they had this big protest. They walked out of their job. And you know, that's illegal. Yes, it is illegal for correction officers to walk off the job and hospital staff to walk off the job. Yes, it's literally illegal. When they sign a contract that says they can't walk off. But how you walking off? How you walking off? Like somebody did something to y'all. They're complaining about all of the overtime and the conditions. Really? Compared to the conditions that y'all create? Stop. So they are going down. They are going down. Now, I don't know whatever happened to this one guy that Governor Hochul put in place. Remember, she was taking another person to watch over the facility. Yeah. So I don't know whatever happened with that. Remember, it wasn't a brand new person she used, and it wasn't a person who did not have another responsibility. How dumb was she to take the somebody who's already manning a facility and make them man another facility? Isn't that the problem? There's nobody focusing, and this is how they're getting all out of hand. So I don't know whatever happened with that. I have not seen anything, but 43-year-old Robert Brooks was beat to death on camera. And when I tell you that was heinous, it was heinous and it was absolutely disgusting. I don't care what the conditions are like. Y'all are there to man these people. So are you telling me that the animals are running the zoo? Then that's on you. Because listen, there's a way you can get this done. Because not every single correction officer is like bad and crooked. I wish we could get some correction officers on here. Now, we already had a correction officer here, but I don't know if they're able to speak publicly. Years ago, when we first started It's Due Time, we did have Brother Ainsley's brother on here, and he's a police officer. And he was able to talk. He was able to say some things. So they can talk a little bit, but I don't know. I'm going to find out. How much they can really say. So now that we're on video, I don't know, because or either do we like put the like black over them? You know how they do. I'm just wondering. But I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna find out. Well, here's the best part. They are holding them accountable. Now, my question is, should they hold everybody at the same level? So like I said, they've got some who are 6 are being charged with second-degree murder, and 3 are going down for manslaughter charges. Should everybody be at the same level? Okay, I'm not going to weigh in yet. I'm going to hear what the Due Time crew has to say. All right, so let's see what else we're talking about today. Oh, talk about somebody going down. So you have an 11-year-old girl. This happened last week. An 11-year-old girl who dies. She commits suicide after the bullies in her school threatened to call ICE on her family. And what is the matter with these people? What's the matter with children? What's the matter with people? We go from these big old grown adults who beat this man to death to little kids who are teasing this little girl and, threatening to call ICE on her family. And, they will all be deported and leave her. And that there, I think, may have been what really put this over the top, where she's believing that she's going to be left all alone. Why would you say, gosh, people are so cruel. People are so cruel. And I always say big messes were once little messes. So all those correction officers who beat that man to death and who's causing all this havoc up in the correctional facilities, they were once little messes like these punks right here. Yeah, they say that her classmates were teasing her. But here's the thing. When, after the little girl died and they contacted the school, come to find out, the school knew that the children had been teasing and bullying her, and they had her in counseling in the school, but never told the mother. Who does that? Yo, you listen. This is how you make a bad situation worse. You could not anticipate that the children were going to bully the other children and say that to them. No, you may not have anticipated that. However, once you learned it, everybody needs to be in therapy. The whole school needs to go through a sensitivity course. Yes, and you need to alert these parents that this child was being teased and bullied. Instead, you sent her to therapy and thought it was working. Who are you to make that decision for my child? Yo, you done lost your ever-loving mind. So now they're investigating. Investigating what? Y'all are responsible for my child's death. Yes. Now, I don't know what she was doing when she went home. I don't know what she was doing when she went home. I don't know how she was camouflaging, how she was feeling, or was she really camouflaging how she was feeling? I don't know, because I would venture to say if this mother may have been concerned about being deported, maybe her mind wasn't on the kids. And I'm not saying good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent. But what I'm saying is, listen, stuff goes on. So what you should have done as a school administrator is tell a parent. Now the parent is on alert. This is what's going on in the school. We're so sorry, Miss Hernandez, that your child is being treated like this. And what can we do? You don't hide this valuable piece of information from the children's parents. Yo, everybody's going down. Everybody's getting fired. Straight up. I'm sorry. I don't care what your intention was. I don't care what your goal was. I don't care if you was going to tell me tomorrow, but she just happened to kill herself. Yes, no. Everybody going down. Everybody going down. I'm sorry. We ain't doing this. We are not doing this. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is straight crazy. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, on to different news. We have those people, who were on that Delta flight in Toronto that the airplane that flipped upside down. Yeah. Well, they are now $30,000 richer, if that's what you want to say. They said that, Delta, straight out the box, no negotiating, no contingencies, no nothing, supposedly no contingencies. They handed everybody $30,000, and there was not a clause that said you could not sue or anything like that. No, they didn't say that you couldn't sue. That there was no clause that said that. No, you could sue and do whatever. I don't know if you were hurt, because there was some injuries, if that was the starting amount, because that may have been the starting amount for those people. But for those who kind of walked away, $30,000 in their pocket right now. $30,000. Yeah. Now, do you think that's the least that they could do? Could they have done more? Or wait till somebody decides to sue? I don't know. We'll see what the Due Time crew has to say. Let me see if I can squeeze in one more story, because I don't know if Pastor KL is on today. Let's see. What's the story here? Okay, y'all help me understand. There was a teen. These kids need something to do. Teasing kids about deporting their parents and all this kind of stuff. There was a teen. I think he was 16 years old. Oh my goodness gracious. No, 14. 14 years old. He decides he's going to inject himself with water and a dead butterfly remains. Can we get some extra activities? Community centers open, some boxing classes, maybe some kung fu, some chess tournament, something, y'all, something. They say he experienced agonizing pain, 7 agonizing days in the hospital before he died. Now, the fear is that this was a challenge. And they're not necessarily saying it was a TikTok challenge, but they're wondering if this was a challenge. I just don't even know what to say, y'all. I just don't even know what to say. I got a child who's supposed to be in a right frame of mind. Shontyce, Shontyce, and Tamasia, they supposed to be okay here. And they go and take a needle and mix up a dead butterfly in some water, pull it up into a syringe, and then put it in and stuck it in his leg. Why was this a good idea? It was a challenge. It's like, what are we doing? Yo, Lord have mercy. Y'all don't think we need Jesus? You cannot leave your kids after school. You cannot leave your kids while you go bowling. You cannot leave your kids while you go clubbing. You can't leave your kids while you go to the PTA meeting. Because you just don't know what they're going to be doing. At 14, yo, what conversation do I need to have with you that you need to understand that taking a dead butterfly, period, mixing it in some water, pulling it into a needle, a syringe, and then sticking it in your body, I gotta have this conversation with you? What's his name? David Nunez Morier. It would have been better had he been deported. Yo, where my due time crew at? Where's Tamika? Where's Tamika at? I hope she on vacation, because we got something to talk about. Good morning, Tamika.
Monday morning. Good morning. How are you today?
I don't know how I'm doing. Oh my goodness gracious. How was vacation?
Oh, we had a blast. I'm ready to go back, but I'm back home. See the brown curtain? Back at home.
Well, listen, from the looks of things, Brother Al need to be home. Y'all need to forget them vacations, because he need to be on top of the kids. Because yo, they done lost their mind. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Wait, we got to check in from our Deacon Diallo. Good morning, Deacon Diallo. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a comment from Vivian. I need to see what she's saying. She got one word up there, Tamika. I don't know what she's saying. Oh my goodness gracious. Wait. Well, good morning. Good morning, Renee. Thank you so much for joining us. For some reason, Vivian's comment isn't coming up on my, she's saying each. Yes, each. $30,000 each. Yes. Much for joining us. All right, Tamika, let's get to talking. We're talking about the fact that these 10 New York correction officers have been charged with the beating death of Robert Brooks. And they've got 6 of them being charged with second-degree murder and 3 being charged with manslaughter. My question is, all right, you done snagged them all. Now, should they all be charged at the same level?
In my opinion, you should. If you were there at the party, not that I'm considering that a party, but if you were there, if you knew anything about it, if you heard about it and you did nothing, then yes, you should all bear the same responsibility.
Okay. We'll see what Pastor KL has got to say, and then I will weigh in on it. All right, you got this little girl where wait, I'm gonna push the kids together. Let's go to the Delta passengers. Yes, to answer your question, Vivian, is $30,000 each passenger. Now, this is straight out the box. There were no questions asked, so they tell the story. Each person was automatically given $30,000. Now, I don't know if it starts from there and then, like those, I think it was 17 people that were injured, if they now get more money automatically, or they're waiting to see if they sue. But everybody got $30,000. Period. Do you think, Tamika, that they should have automatically gotten more?
Yeah, you caused major calamity to these people's lives. Not just the 17. Everybody that was on that flight was affected. If you've ever been on a flight and the plane shakes a little bit, it really does something to you, And I think that the $30,000, they knew, when you give out money like that, you think about when you are on a flight and they give you a voucher. They give that to some people. They don't give it to everybody. When they're giving out money like that, it tells you something. Maybe they knew that there was some issues with the plane that they're not telling, the public, and when they offer money like that, then I'm privy to believe that, yes, you should have gotten more, okay, fine, we got that. But, for every person that was affected or that was on that plane, yes, you should be due money and not having to ask for it. I think it is a good thing that they are doing it. It says something to their reputation. However, I do believe that they should get more.
Okay. All righty. All right, let's move on to the kiddies. You got this 11-year-old little girl who committed suicide after her classmates bullied her and teased her and said that they were going to call ICE on her family and get them deported, and that she would be left all alone. And the school never told the mother that they were aware of this situation and that they had the little girl in therapy. What should be their punishment?
I'm still trying to figure out what is going on with these schools. It seems as though they all have control, and parents are the last one to know. We talked about, gender preferences and how you can be Charles at home, but Charlene at school, and mom and dad don't know. This child was going through something, traumatized, already in therapy. You mean to tell me you never mentioned to mom and dad, listen, we have an issue, why is mom and dad the last thing to know? Was it a lack of paperwork? You have got to involve parents so that they're familiar. Absolutely, you bear the responsibility of this child's death, and you don't get a second chance for that. This child is no longer living because you decided that you did not want to involve the parents. I believe that that's not fair, and you shouldn't have your job. You have to understand the sensitivity of what it is that you're supposed to be doing. In general, you are a mandated reporter. So that means if something was happening in the home, you're supposed to report to the police. Also, if something is happening at school, you have to let the parents know. For you not letting the parents know, you bear the responsibility of this child's death, and you don't get a second opportunity. Bye-bye job. Find something else to do. Maybe a street sweeper, something else to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no way in the world you got any business still with a job when you made such a poor decision. All righty. Terrence says, I don't think all of them. I don't know which one you're answering, Terrence. Yeah, I don't know which one you're answering. Terrence also says, while the school is the blame for that child's own life now because we do not know what the counselor was saying to the little girl, and it could be that she took it out of context. Absolutely. You don't know what was said to the little girl, and now we don't know, how that impacted her decision to not live anymore. You don't keep that a secret. Yeah, you don't, I agree with you, Tamika. You don't get no second chance at this. You don't get no second chance at ruining a child's life. No, or family's life. Sorry. All right. Yes, Renee, a syringe. He took and mixed up some water and a dead butterfly, pulled it into a syringe, and injected it into his leg. And he had, they say, 7 days of agonizing pain in the hospital, and then he died. Oh, Tamika. What do we need to do to get them some attention, some extracurricular activities that are safe? I don't know, girl. What?
We've had the hot water challenge, the ice challenge, the milk crate challenge. Who thinks of, like the average person that I know of is not, has a fear of syringes at all. I mean, just in general.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember, my grandmother who's no longer living, I had to start injecting her with her insulin. And I was just like, I was having, just a fit, just the whole idea of actually taking a syringe and, pinching the skin. And, they had to teach me. And I kept saying, I don't want to do it. You're talking about taking a syringe for yourself. I don't care what you put in it. Ice, water, orange juice, butterfly. I'm not doing it. Who thinks of, like, did you not have TV? Is there not something for you to do? Who in their, I can't even say right mind, who phantoms thinking of did you want to be a butterfly? I can't even fathom why of all things you would want to think of putting a dead, did you think it would resurrect? Did you think it would become a cocoon in your skin? And I just don't understand what made him want to do that. The sad part ultimately is that because of that, he's no longer living, and how far in did somebody had to know? I mean, you had to tell your parents. Did you tell your parents after you got sick? I don't even know as a parent how I would relate to that, how I would function, knowing that my child injected water and a butterfly into a sin, and because of that, now he's no longer living.
Yeah, this is a little much. This is a little much. I'm sorry. Shontyce, Shontyce, and Tamaja, I didn't hurt them. You'd end up in the hospital, all right.
I've seen.
I've been to hurt you. This is ridiculous. Now, come on now.
I've seen children stick batteries to their tongue. Chew matches. But butterflies and syringes.
What kid you been around, Tamika? Because I don't know none of them kids. Oh my goodness, great. Battery to your tongue? Oh no, girl. Oh my goodness, great. Oh Lord, we need something for these kids to do. Oh, help. Oh my goodness gracious. Where's Pastor KL, Tamika? Where Pastor? Maybe he can bring some clarity to this thing here. Oh, good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, ladies. How you guys doing?
Morning.
I don't know yet. I don't know. Tamika talk about the kids putting battery to their mouth.
How you don't know about that battery trick?
I'm sorry. My head was on straight when I was a kid.
I mean, that was the biggest thing back in our days, batteries to your tongue.
Right.
Yeah, how you don't know about that?
I must have skipped that part of life.
Wow. I don't know nothing about no eating matches, but that battery to the tongue was a big thing.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, Kiwi. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, y'all put up in this chat room how much y'all know about this battery to the tongue or chewing matches. Because I'm tell you something. I know about either one of them things. So y'all help me. Maybe back in 66, we just went past that. I don't know. But yeah. Oh my goodness. Pastor KL, we got these 10 officers who are now being charged with the death of Robert Brooks. We have 6 that are being charged with first-degree murder, and we've got the other 3 that are being charged. That's still in 10, but we've got the other ones that are being charged with like manslaughter. Should everybody be charged at the same level?
Yeah, it was the same outcome. Same outcome, same charge. You know, we listen. So because I just held them and didn't hit them, that means I didn't kill them? Yeah, you participated in killing them. You know what I mean? Because I was the lookout. You still participate in killing them. You know what I mean? The outcome is the same. The outcome is that he died. And you played a role in it, no matter what the role was. Listen, if the play gets an Emmy, you know what I mean? The whole play got it. Because whether you was an understudy or not, you know what I mean? You participated in it. So yeah, we all go to jail for life.
I agree with both of you. I actually agree with both of you. My thing is, listen, the man dead. Who cares if you plucked him once or plucked him twice? That one pluck helped to kill him. He's dead. Everybody going down for the same thing. First degree murder. That's it. Because my thing is, even if you were the lookout, guess what? You helped to kill him. Just because you didn't cause a blow. No. Had you not been the lookout, maybe that would have been one less blow. You going down as well for the same thing. I agree with the both of you. $30,000 per passenger on this Delta plane that flipped upside down. It doesn't matter whether you were injured or not. Just by being a passenger on the plane, you got $30,000, and I think they gave them back the cost of their flight as well. But should it have been more?
I personally would have liked more, you know what I mean? But I'd have walked away with the 30,000 smiling. I'd have did a commercial. You know, I'd have been up there. You know, fly spirit, baby, fly spirit. Yeah, I would have been all right.
Okay. I think $30,000 was okay. I would not have necessarily felt that we should have gotten more. Off the rip, $30,000. I think I would have been all right with that. Yes, you know, I could have been shaken up, but I think I would have been okay with 30,000. And I ain't got to ask for it. I would have been okay. I may not have ever flown you again. I ain't getting on Delta plane no more. But thank you for my 30,000 plus the flight, cost of my flight. I'll take it. Thank you so much. I think I'm gonna drive for the next 10 years. I'm gonna be all right. All right. These children, this 11-year-old little girl, the school, the classmates were bullying her, threatening that they were going to call ICE on her parents. They would be deported and leave her here in the United States all alone. The school knew all about it, didn't say anything, had her in therapy. The little girl ends up committing suicide, and now mom finds out that she was in therapy in school. What's happened to administration here?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, how you have my child in any kind of, how are you talking to my child without speaking to me? You know what I mean? I don't know what you're saying. You know, we're not even working together with this. And then, you know, all this stuff's happening in your school and I know nothing. So I can't even give counseling in my house. You know what I mean? About, don't worry about this, baby. We're going to take care of this, baby. You know, and then the other question is, so we talk about the administration. What happened to the kids?
Mm-hmm.
So the kids just get to do what they want to do and move on to the next victim? So now we're in suicide elementary. You know, I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. Everybody need to be up in therapy. Whole school. Right. Sorry, whether you were bullying or whether you were being bullied or whether you were just an impartial person, ain't nothing happened. Everybody would be up in classes. because it has to be a sensitivity training. You cannot tease children because this is how far it goes for some people. Stop. Be careful of what you say.
But
And
the other side,
bullied.
the other side is that so because nothing happened to these children, they could be bullying somebody else, and the other person who's being bullied can see that nothing's going to happen to them. You know what
That's
I
my
mean?
point.
I could die. You know, say my mama can complain, but they gonna still do what they do.
And that's my point. That's why I say everybody would be up in therapy. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter who you are, because you're dealing with the bullies. And they would have to suffer some consequences. But unfortunately, do you know who they are? Well, you know what? If she dropped names, administration knows who they are. So now that's another reason why you're gonna get in trouble, because now you're protecting the ones who were doing the bullying. You're gonna have to deal with the whole school because you don't know who stands where. You don't know if they were bullied, if they were bullying, or if they stand on the side with the potential of being bullied. Because whether
Right.
they're being bullied now or later, you need to help them understand how to handle this. So now all of this secrecy didn't help nobody. Because
Right.
if the little girl who you had in therapy ended up killing herself, you didn't do nothing for her.
Right.
You didn't
Right.
do nothing for the kids who were bullying. You didn't do nothing for nobody. So
But
no,
okay. So
everybody can find.
let's look at it from another standpoint. There has to be some kind of discourse or disorder in the house that you as a child, you've been in therapy all this time and you never told your mother. So there has to be some kind of disconnect at home as well.
Right,
So
right.
so now you as a parent is in uproar. First of all, you never seen the signs of her acting differently. You understand what I'm saying? And she never felt comfortable to come in and talk to you about it. So now,
Right.
are you upset because you feel a little guilty about it, or are you truly upset because somebody else took the stance?
Well, that's the other thing. You've got this child who's being bullied, who's worrying about you being deported and she be left here, and she never says anything to you to even ask you,
Right.
Mom, if you were to go away, would I be left alone? She says nothing.
Right.
So, like you said, there's a whole big issue going on here, a whole entirely huge issue going on here. And you know what? We have to talk to our children. And I want to stick a pin here for a little bit, Pastor KL. I have my youngest is 26, and one of the things that I think Shontyce may have been one I could talk to a little bit more. But as far as the other two, especially the youngest one, oh, don't let me ask more than one question. Oh, good Lord. Oh, come to an end. If I say, how was school today? It was okay. What did you do? Oh, come on, Ma. It's like, yo, you can't. That's serious. But even as an adult, it's like, how was your day? It was good. So she's working. I said, in the school. She works in the school. And it was comical. We were cracking up laughing at some of the stories. So the other day I asked her, I said, how's work? And she said, it's good. So I said to her, I said, well, whatever happened to your buddies? So she didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, the kids during the summertime who you were talking about. So immediately there's this look on her face. It's like, oh. I'm like, well, what? What did I say now? Well, I told you, Ma. I said, oh, I forgot. You were in a different school during the summertime, and now you're back with the other children now. Oh, I ain't telling you nothing no more because you forget everything. I'm like, yo, I can't. I'm so sorry. I didn't. I forgot. The point I'm trying to make is we're talking about the fact that kids come home and they say nothing. And I'm telling you, I've experienced this.
Right.
But I ask anyway. I always ask, what's going on? Even as adults, she's 26 years old, and I'm still asking questions, and she's still getting just as annoyed as she did when she was 16. How do you work with this? Do you keep asking? Because I ain't gonna stop asking. I'm just saying. We're talking about this thing. You're a parent. You know, we criticize the parents who I got a girl. So Renee must be going through the same thing at home with her teen. She has a young teen. So it's like, what do you do at this point, Pastor KL? We criticize parents for not knowing, but yet when you ask, you resistance.
Yeah, well, you know, I always say you ain't got no dogs, you ain't got no rights, you ain't got nothing in my house. So I'm gonna ask you the questions that I want to ask. You know what I mean? It's just it. You're gonna be at the kitchen table under the chandelier because that's the interrogation light, and I'm gonna ask you all the questions I need to ask you. How was school? What did you learn in school? What did you do in school? I want to know everything. You know, because surely when your report card comes, you're gonna tell me the teacher didn't like me. Well, you didn't tell me that when I asked you how was school.
Right.
Why I didn't know at that point that the teacher didn't like you? Because we could have fixed that.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, after 3 months quarter, the teacher don't like you every day of the week. But remember that day I said, how was school? What did you do in school? What happened in school? There was never a problem with the teacher.
It's true. It's so true. Now all of a sudden, under duress, you get all the confession. You know,
Right.
it's like, yo, you didn't say no when I was asking. I was an ogre. Oh,
Right.
it's so funny because I just have to look at the face and I just crack up. I mean, what? I did was ask you something, and it's like, you know, and that's the way they feel. They feel like you're interrogating them. But if you don't ask, you run up against stuff like this, where there's a little girl, little boy, and they end up committing suicide, and they say nothing. But it's not necessarily because the parents don't ask. Sometimes they ask, and the children say nothing. No. You may know it's nothing, because even now, if I say, what's wrong? Nothing. I see there's something wrong, which is why I'm asking you what's wrong, but yet you're not saying, you know, what's happening here. So I don't know. I don't know if we can always criticize, you know, this parental thing, you know, and they not know anything, because, you know, in my own defense, I ask and I still don't get answers all the time.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a little different from our side and the light skin side. You know, the light skin side, you say, how was school? Bite me, mom, and then the conversation is over. You know what I mean? I wish a child would tell me to bite them anywhere. Okay, anywhere. You know that's how it goes, Pastor Steph. You see them in the store. You can breathe now. You can breathe. I want the listeners to weigh in on that one. How many times have you told your mother bite me?
If I looked at my mother wrong, she was snatching me up.
Right. Let alone bite me. Man, I couldn't even form those words. That's like cussing my mama.
I was just getting to say, if you even parted your lips, she was like,
right. You done bit your own tongue. Oh God. I'm sorry, I digress.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. You know why? Because it's so true. You see it on TV, you see it in public. It's like they are so disrespectful.
Right.
Dang. I couldn't even think of that kind of stuff. Forget, my mother been hurt me just because I thought it. But let's talk about this kid with this butterfly syringe, butterfly and water, dead butterfly and water syringe. He sticks it in his Renee says I couldn't even say shoot because it was too close to the cuss word. It's true. It's true. It's true. He sticks the needle in his leg and he has 7 days of agonizing pain before he dies. I asked, hey, what about, did anybody know anything about these batteries on the tongue that you and Tamika talked about? Well, Vivian says yes, she's heard of it, but no, she never heard of chewing the matches. And Terrence says water and a butterfly. I don't know what people are thinking about. They need to stay off the internet. It's true. It's so true. What I mean, come on. It's like, what do we do with our kids now? That, they say they don't know if this was actually a challenge, but they think that it could have possibly been a challenge that this child was actually participating in.
Sometimes it's funny. Either you're on the yellow bus, or you're extremely, you're almost like a genius. You ever had? I remember my son used to get in trouble because he couldn't get enough work. He had surpassed the class, so he was just bored. You know what I mean? So he would just do stuff because he was out of boredom. And sometimes these kids, a lot of them are supersede where we was. You know what I mean? So look at it. The 5-year-olds is using tablets and they can tell you how to get through phones and all this other kind of stuff. I think he wasn't that bright to try this challenge, unless you were trying to be a scientist, or maybe you were just listening to the song Black Butterfly, sails across the water. I don't see why you was trying to do this at all. And for 7 days you went through all this pain. Well, the Bible talks about 7 is the number of completion, because you died after them 7 days. But I don't know why you would want to do that kind of stuff. Listen, I'm a diabetic, and it took me almost a year to learn how to stick this needle in my arm. That's not something I want. My wife had to do it, and I was mad at her every time she did it. So yeah, that's not something you do for recreation pleasure. That's crazy.
My question is, what kind of conversation do you have with your kids these days? Like I said, I joke and I say, I don't have this problem with these girls experimenting, as far as I know. And I'll say it like that, because you don't know what they do in your absence. And I'm sure his parents didn't have any idea that he was going to be experimenting with a dead butterfly and some water and a needle. Because, again, typical children, like Tamika said, they don't like no needles. A typical person, they don't like needles. What kind of conversations do we have with our children? I don't understand.
That's a good question. But the thing is, who would think that you need to have that kind of conversation?
Right.
About a syringe. Right. You know what I mean? How does that conversation even come up? You know what I mean? Unless you're talking about, drugs. And with children, you usually talk about weed and stuff like that, unless you're on the other side of the fence, because we can't afford cocaine. You know what I mean? So that's not going to be our drug of choice. You know what I mean? So, uh-oh. I lost it. I guess you can hear me, but you can't see me.
I can see you. I can see you and I can hear you.
Oh, I can't see you. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's not going to be our drug of choice. But I can't really fathom or even see how I would have a conversation about, hey, if you want to try something, don't try it. Because again, you wouldn't think your child, especially if this is a child that not always getting in trouble or not doing wrongly, to experiment with water and a butter. Who thinks about that? Right. We get mad when you go and dig up worms. Why would we think that you're going to kill a butterfly, squeeze it as a juicer, and put it in water in a syringe?
Where are you getting the syringe from?
Exactly.
Where you even got that from? I'm an adult, and I couldn't tell you now where I would go get a hypodermic needle. I don't know where you get that from. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just saying, where you were. I wanted to interject that. Again, I agree. That's why I'm asking. How do you have this conversation with your children? Because, you like you said, I agree 100%. It's easy to say no to drugs. It's easy to say, let's talk about peer pressure. It's easy to say, listen, if somebody is, I remember telling the girls, I don't care what anybody do. You ain't got no business going to no store. You ain't got no money. Don't go to the store. No, you don't need the window shop. No. That ain't your thing. You know what to talk about. You know to talk about these things because these are the average things that our children are experiencing. Terrence says, these people need to stay off the internet. I agree 100%. But again, even when you're on the internet, what do you say? What do you say? Because even on the internet, I don't think my girls would consider if there were a challenge that said, okay, you can turn yourself into a butterfly. All you have to do is get a dead butterfly. You can go to the pharmacy and get a hypodermic needle and take it, pull it into the thing, squeeze out a little bit, make sure the water comes through, and stick it in your leg. And I don't think those three would go for that. So my thing is, even in certain challenges, it's like, I don't think they go for that. How do you talk to your kids about things like this? Because it's like, yo, this is crazy. What do do you have to talk about everything? Do you have to now talk about, okay, listen, you need to stay off this website. You need to stay off TikTok. And I don't care what the challenge is. You don't need to be experimenting with any challenge, period. I don't care whether it's the hot fries, TikTok challenge. I don't care if it's the subway surfing. I saw this video. Oh my gosh, I saw this video. They have this video about New York and all the crazy things that happens in New York. And they showed this train. Looks like a number 7 train. They showed this train where it was like 5 or 6 of these kids on top of the train, subway surfing. It's like 6 of them, 5 or 6 of them. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, I was like in disbelief because this ain't something they did by themselves. And it doesn't mean that this is something that they wouldn't do by themselves. But it begs to say we got to have these crazy conversations now, Pastor KL.
Right. It's you as a parent, you can't sit there and think of every issue, right. Every situation. You can think of some of the situations you went through, but they are far gone than what we went through. Some of this stuff, we would have never thought about being a butterfly. Listen, I cringed when I watched the Fly movie. I couldn't watch part 2. He turned into a fly. Why would I want it to be a butterfly? I can't even see the fascination of stuff like that. And when I can't see it and when I can't envision it, I can't speak about it. You know what I mean? There's nothing for me to say about that. As much as I want to tell my children to stay off of drugs, I can't really get into it because I've never been on drugs. I've seen what it does to folks. You understand what I'm saying? So I can't speak firsthand. So there's certain things I'm just not going to talk about, or I don't think to talk about, because I didn't go through it. This whole bullying thing is a big thing. You know what I mean? But that wasn't a big thing for me back in the days. So now you have to revert your mind, revise your mind, you know what I'm saying, to what's going on today. But you got to be really in tune with what's going on today. You know, if you're a parent who got 2 and 3 jobs because you're trying to make ends meet, you don't know what's going on with the children's world today. Man, listen, I love Shontyce because she say words. I'm like, okay, that's a good word. That's what they saying now these days. Okay, I'm using it. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, when you have the young people on your side, you learn different stuff. I mean, somebody came in here a couple of months ago say you tweaking, and I'm like, what? What is tweaking? You know what I mean? But again, you learn different things and you learn how to deal with your children at the level that they are. Thank God my kids are grown.
And I say the same thing. You know, when God gave me the ministry, when he said, you know, you're a pastor, and he gave me the ministry, I would have never imagined it would be a ministry of young people. Never in a million years. I didn't come from that kind of a ministry. I came from a ministry where everybody was my age and older. We really didn't have a lot of young people, but I would have never guessed. But when I saw God kept sending these young people, and I really had to realize at that point, wow, I relate to them well. And it's not because I done been through some stuff that they done been through,
right,
or facing some things. Let me rephrase that. It's not because I understand the challenges of today necessarily, because, like you said, our experiences and the things that what we were facing are nothing like the children of today. But that's when I realized that I actually can relate to these kids, and I can actually communicate with them a whole lot better than what I really thought. Because why would God send me all these kids? God is not sending me anybody old. Me, Kenny, and Nika, we the old people. We the old people in church. That's it. You know, so it's something that, you know, I give God thanks because I have 3 girls who they know street. They know the street, you know, they can, to Major talks any kind of language they got out there. Oh, we know about that up in here. She brings it and she talk, and you know, you got it. What do they say? You use like context clues. You gotta figure it out. Because even sometimes Shontyce and Shontyce, they be like, what? You know what she's talking about. So when we're on here, like you said, and Shontyce is talking, I'm like, how does she know that? Because she's not in the street, but whatever they're doing, they're still connecting with their people. They're still connecting with their peers. So they know the terminology and things like that. And like you said, you know, if you are a parent who's like well up into your job 24 hours a day, or you coming home and you sleeping and you're not paying attention to your kids, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. You have to be up on what your children are going through these days. And this is why I said the other day, I said, listen, my advice, when stop settling down. Now all of a sudden you want to get married, have kids, live your life. Because there's going to be time, God spare your life, there'll be time to do these things, and you're going to have to be prepared. You know, I look at these people going to school. You going to school, kids going to school. Whose homework is getting done, Pastor KL? It's your homework that's getting done, because you can't do your homework and their homework. They're pretty much fending for themselves. Why? Because the time when they're doing homework, you're in school. Right. You got to work. So you're working while they're in school. So while they're coming home and doing homework, you're at school. So I don't have a problem with you wanting to improve yourself, better yourself, and all of this kind of stuff. But who's missing out? Who's on the losing end here? And you can't keep up with your kids if all you doing is going to work, going to school, sleeping, and you got, I gotta get ready for the next day. Or I need some time for myself. This is how your children are getting wrapped up with all of these things, and you are none the wiser. Because we don't know what to talk to our kids about other than the obvious, like we said a little while ago. I'm not gonna know to come home and talk to my kid about the butterfly and the syringe. Now we gotta write a book about the butterfly and the syringe. Yo, what is that? So there's a lot of stuff that we have to be up on as parents. And if we are trying to catch up with life, because we ain't went to school because we done had this baby way too early and all of this kind of stuff. When we got married because we had the kid, so we wouldn't make it right. Now we messed up. I don't know. How do we close this down? It's almost time for your girl to come on with switch tip.
Well, I think we have to be conscious when we see changes in behavior, and there's always a change in the behavior. We a lot of times ignore it and think they're smelling themselves or they're growing up. Or no, there is a change in the behavior. Even when the boy gets infatuated with a girl, there's a change in behavior. You know what I mean? Everything when the girl gets wrapped up in the boy, there's a change of behavior. We have to be able to recognize the change and speak to the change. Sit them down and say, "Hey, what's going on? I notice you're doing things a little differently. I notice you're coming in late a little more than often. Usually you're here at 3:15. Now you're here at 4:00. What's going on?" That anytime there's a change in the routine, we need to have a conversation. We can't just ignore it and say, "Oh, they're just growing up." No. Because sometimes when they grow up, they grow out. You know what I mean? And when I say that, they grow out of discipline. When you have a routine, you have discipline. When you're all over the place now, you're growing out of discipline, and you're just flying by the seat of your pants. And it's up to us to pull them back in and say, "Hey, I know you're growing up, but we still have to do these kind of things." You know what I mean? Yeah. Even my wife and I used to talk all the time and say, "Listen, we're grown, but call me and let me know you're not coming home straight from work." Right. You know what I mean? Because I'm used to you being home at a certain time. Right. I'm used to you doing this. You're not a hangout person. So instead of me worrying, call me. So these are the things we have to get back with our children. We have to get back connected. We're so excited about them being grown, and they can cook for themselves and they can clean for themselves. So now I want them to be grown. But though they're tall, they're not grown. You know what I mean? Though they have developed, they're not grown, and they still need guidance and they still need discipline. And because they're grown and they can stay home by themselves, it's not the time that you go out and be the party person because you lost all the party stuff because you was raising a child. You still raising a child. You just raising a big child now.
Right. That's absolutely true. As you were talking, I'm thinking about what you're saying. When you're asking the questions and you're trying to stay connected, and like I was saying earlier, I said to her, how's your job? Even my middle girl, who's 34, 35 this year. I said to her, "How's the job going?" Imagine how many parents don't even ask. They don't care. Right. They're too busy wrapped up in their own life. Now I'm out here trying to get my life because I lost my life a few years ago. Everybody knows the story. I talk about it all the time. I had Shontyce young. But, when she was growing up, I took them where I went. They were at the plays and they were at the Tiffany's, and they were there. They were actually seeing what I was doing. I actually had them working. They were actually doing stuff. So you can get an understanding as to what I'm doing, which is why they know how to do things now. You can't be so wrapped up in yourself that you forget to have that conversation to ask these older children. Like you said, you're still raising big kids, no disrespect, but they're still your children. And I still want to know, how's it going? I still want to let you know that I'm here as your mother. You can always come back and talk. And I always say to the youngest one, I say, "You don't want to talk to me. I got a whole church that talks to me. I'm your mother, and they're taking advantage of something that you got right in your life."
Right.
And you're warring against, "Oh, I can't ask no questions." But now they're talking. How lopsided and cockeyed is that?
Right.
You have
Right.
the ability. God gave you a mother and a pastor. Yo, monopolize on it. There are people here who never had a relationship with their mother. They never had a relationship with their father, and they're craving this as adults. Here you have it, and you're like, "Oh, come on, ma! I already answered that question already." Yo, understand that this is a blessing. It's a
Well,
blessing.
let me say one more thing. If any of my children are watching, you know, I appreciate what Pastor Steph says. If you had a problem with money, ask me for money because you can't come back home. So ask me for money because you can't come back home.
Pastor Charlene used to say that all the time. She said, "Oh no, I give you the money, just stay away. I give you the money, just stay away. I'll help you from afar. No, you can't come back." You know what? I got two that still have not left home. So should I be paying out? But you know what? All jokes aside, parents, talk to your children. Parents,
Amen.
observe, watch, think, listen, to what your children are saying, even when their mouths are not open. Thank you so much, Pastor KL. Thank you, my due time crew, for all coming through big time. Thank you for your contribution into today's conversation. We pray you have a blessed day.
You as well. You as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Woo! We never run out of things to talk about. Oh my goodness. All we need is the news. All we need is the concept. We got stuff to talk about. Well, we still got some listening to do. It is time for the switch with Shontyce. Let's say good morning to Shontyce. Good morning, Shontyce.
Good morning, Pastor Steph. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. What you got for us today?
Okay, today we have the switch with Shontyce, where we're bringing the switch from the streets to our godly seed, and we are up to switch tip 213, which is stop leaning on your own understanding. And oh man, Lord, there's a lot to be said about our human understanding. I pulled up two definitions of understanding. The first definition that came up was become aware of the intended meaning. Please, I'm not trying to be condescending this morning. I'm not trying to speak down to you. If I speak a little slower or I emphasize some words with some volume, or if I repeat myself, it's not because I think the viewers are slow. It's because this really needs to resonate with each of us. And I'm kind of feeling like God has given us a switch tip just like this before. If he has, and he's emphasizing this again, that means we really need to make sure we pay attention. So the first definition of understanding: to become aware of the intended meaning of something. The biblical definition of understanding: the ability to use knowledge and wisdom to discern and apply God's will. So the ability to use knowledge and wisdom to be able to decipher, to be able to break apart and break down until it cannot be broken down anymore, and then to apply God's will. And I've been having some conversations with people that show that they have no concept of any godly understanding. Everything is about being comfortable with sitting in what I understand this to be, not to become aware of the intended meaning, meaning the real meaning, but to understand what I want to understand, how I want to look at this. And you see how I just gave y'all the definitions, right? I had someone say to me, and people have been saying this to me for a while, but they get mad when I give the definition of a word and then hold them to the definition. And I had someone say to me before, like, "Oh, you telling me the definition, but that's not what I meant." Or no, I'm sorry. It was, no one uses the word according to that. So if you say sky, if you say the sky is blue, and that's okay, the sky is the big old thing up in the sky, but you're pointing to the ground, you're mad at me because I'm letting you know that you're talking about the big thing up above us and not the thing that's on the ground, but you're talking about the thing that's on the ground. But because people, and it has really gotten that remedial, y'all, meaning that slow. It's gotten that slow. And God is not it's like less and less God is sugarcoating things for us, because he really needs us to understand. He really needs us to become aware of our intended meaning, which is the slowness. Okay. So when God says stop leaning to or on your own understanding, which is something that a lot of people, whether you're a believer or a non-believer, that's just one of those phrases and verses that a lot of people know. It's way deeper than what it sounds like and what we read on the surface. Okay. Luke 10:25-28 in the Amplified Version reads, and a certain lawyer, an expert in Mosaic law, stood up to test him, saying, Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus said to him, what is written in the law? How do you read it? And he replied, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said to him, you have answered correctly. Do this habitually and you will live. Now, I found this really interesting. And these set of verses is actually would help to manifest the switch tip. Stop leaning to your own understanding, because it says a certain lawyer who was an expert in Mosaic law is now asking Jesus something. Jesus came to fulfill what was done and what was given in the Old Testament by God. So now you're asking the co-creator, and you trying to trip him up based on something that you feel like you understand in a certain area. And this is what we do all day, every day. We really think that we're about to beat Jesus and beat God at something. They are the masters at being able to break things down. They just don't do it to make us feel stupid like we do with each other and sometimes with ourselves. John 14:15 Amplified Version reads, if you really love me, you will keep and obey my commandments. Again, this verse also helps to manifest this switch tip, because there's this whole debate about should we pay attention and acknowledge the Old Testament versus the New Testament, and you cannot only focus on the new and not the old, only focus on the old and not the new. That's why we have both testaments, Old and New Testament. If you love God and love Jesus, you will obey the 10 commandments that was given in the Old Testament. So for those who are so caught up and wrapped up and so convicted with the New Testament, and you feel like you could do away with the old, you're doing away with abiding by the things that will prove to God and Jesus that you really love them. But you're trying to show that you understand the New Testament. Cut it out. Doesn't work. If we do not show God and Jesus that we are committed, and we're not going to be perfect at all, but if we don't show that we are committed to pursuing the commandments, then we do not love him. It's the same thing with us. Let's put it in human terms real quick. So if someone is telling you, listen, this, or forget people, because people don't know what they want. If God is showing you how to love somebody, not to give them what they want, but what they need, but you're going to love them. See those quotes? I can't do them big enough. You're going to love them according to what's comfortable for you. You do not love them. You do not care about them. Difficult times will come. 2 Timothy 3:1-5, Amplified Version reads, but understand this, that in the last days, dangerous times of great stress and trouble will come. Difficult days that will be hard to bear. For people will be lovers of self, narcissistic, self-focused, lovers of money, impelled by greed, boastful, arrogant, revelers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, and profane. And they will be unloving, devoid of natural human affection, meaning rejecting natural human affection, callous and inhumane, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, devoid of self-control, intemperate, immoral, brutal, haters of good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of sensual pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to a form of outward godliness, religion, although they have denied its power, for their conduct nullifies their claim of faith. Avoid such people and keep far away from them. Let me just break this down to y'all real quick. When you lean to your own understanding, not only do you fit every single thing that I just read within these 5 verses, but you also help for difficult times to come for yourself and for others. Think about everything that was just read, the characteristics, the traits. You don't think you're going to cause someone difficulty? It gives me a headache just reading this. And God says, avoid such people and keep far away from them. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want anyone to feel like they have to keep far away from me because I'm a narcissist. I'm narcissist. I'm self-focused. I'm impelled by greed. I'm arrogant. I'm a reveler, meaning I'm always ready to fight, whether that's verbally or physically. I reject natural human affection. I'm irreconcilable. You know what irreconcilable is? Meaning that you cannot come to me and talk to me and we can now respect each other and come to a common ground. I don't want anyone to experience that with me. So we need to make sure we're making the conscious decision of making the switch from being slow. Because when we lean on what we want to understand, then we miss the awareness of the intended meaning of God's word and God's will for our life. And we do not have the ability to use knowledge and wisdom to discern what God's will is for our life and to apply it. So let's make the switch from understanding ourselves the way we want to, from understanding comfortability to making sure that we are leaning on understanding God's word and his will for each of us. Thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Shontyce. Woo! Do not lean to your own understanding. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's episode. We pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. All right, let's get that benediction. Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and how inscrutable his ways. For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be glory forever. Amen. Romans 11:33-36. Woo. Well, there's a lot said today. A lot said regarding what we need to do as Christian people, what we need to do as parents, what we need to do as humans, what we need to do as believers, non-believers, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We must pay attention. That's the goal for today. Pay attention. Even your switch tip, lean not to your own understanding. That means you got to pay attention. Pay attention to the word of God and make sure that everything that you do is paralleled with the word of God. You know, we discuss our just everyday news each day. You know, unless there's a special guest on, we actually take news stories and we put it into a Christian perspective. Here's what the world has done. Here's what the world is doing. Now, what do God's people do? That's just the bottom line. What do God's people do? What do we need to do? What should we do as God's people? We have to make sure that we are stepping out and we are doing things differently than the average person. Why else are we considered Christian people? Because we are Christ-like. And if we are not Christ-like, then we really can't consider ourselves to be Christian people. You know, Shontyce brought up a wonderful verse that says, if you love me, keep my commandments. That, listen, you can't get no more profound than that. If you love me, keep my commandments. Check it out. Check out this nice bottom line. My father used to always say the rock bottom line. Well, the rock bottom line is that if you love Jesus, you would keep his commandments. And you know, it's nice and simple. Shontyce also brought out the fact that, hey, you know, Jesus came to live out the Old Testament. Well, that's what was given in the Old Testament. The commandments were given in the Old Testament. This is one of the reasons why you cannot abolish the Old Testament like some people want to do. That makes no sense. To abolish the Old Testament is almost like saying, I'm going to abolish my childhood. And woo, that is something we cannot do. We cannot abolish our childhood, because most times the reason why we are who we are today is because of yesterday. We don't just wake up and we just become these people. I said earlier, all big messes were once little messes. We got to pay attention to the fact that a lot of the stuff that we're doing today is carried from our childhood. So, in like manner, this is one of the reasons why we can't abolish the Old Testament. You know, some people carry those little Bibles around. That's just the New Testament. And what do you think that's going to do? The New Testament is referencing the Old Testament. Hello? It ain't going nowhere. Just because you're carrying around the little New Testament and you are focusing on the New Testament, you cannot dismiss what's happened before. So let's make sure we are doing what we need to do and lean not to our own understanding. That is the worst thing we can do. We can't do that when it comes to scripture. We cannot do that when we come to life. When it comes to life, we can't do that for other people's lives and our children's lives. We can't lean to our own understanding. We just got finished talking about, you know, the fact that there are things that the children are experiencing now that we've never experienced. So we can't smash out everything. We can't smash out the fact that, hey, I don't know what you're talking about because I ain't never been there. So I'm going to walk off from it as though it doesn't exist. This is how these children are ending up in such peril. This is why the children are ending up in such trouble, because we are dismissing what they're thinking. We're dismissing what they're feeling. You know, years ago, our parents and older people used to just go ahead, just do what I say do. We can't live like that anymore, everybody. We can't live like that. We are going to have to take the time to listen to our children. We're going to have to take the time to listen to our children. That means that whatever we need to do, if we got to sit down and eat with them, if we have to sit down and watch TV with them, if we sit down and just have a chat moment with them, we've got to pay attention to what our children are going through. We've got to listen to what they're talking about. We got to listen to what they're feeling. We cannot dismiss them. Don't make that mistake. We have 2 children that we talked about today that ended up dead. Why? Somebody wasn't listening. Somebody wasn't watching. And even the teachers and the administrators who were doing what they were doing at the school, can I tell you something? They weren't listening or watching either. Because there's no way in the world you could do something like that, counsel somebody's child, and not speak to the parent. You're not watching. You're not listening. Pick up on what I'm saying. All right? Make sure you don't lean to your own understanding. Take that switch tip to the bank. All right. We're talking about Craft Corner today. Our girl Nicole, who is responsible for our mugs. And again, Shontyce, I forgot to ask her to make sure she got that mug in next time she's on. Remind me, everybody, remind me to talk about the mugs that are being provided by Craft Corner / Nicole. Okay. Don't forget your embroidery manufacturers. It's personalized. Okay. It's personalized. Here is the website. Make sure you check it out to see all of the things that It's Personalized have done. You can't go wrong using them as your embroidery manufacturers. Okay. All right. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and making sure you are in that chat room. Please do not miss this opportunity to choose Jesus as your personal savior right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you press that notification bell so that you can be alerted as to each time we load up on YouTube, A Closer Walk Christian Talk Show YouTube channel. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you get the word out that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. Until tomorrow, let's talk about a Tuesday Church Folk Day. I love you.